Good morning. This is the Energy and Carbon Management Commission. It is February 11th. This is our business agenda. We start with roll call.
Thank you, Commissioner Ackerman,
Here.
Commissioner Cross,
Present.
Commissioner Mesner,
Here.
Commissioner Oath,
Here.
and Commissioner Robbins.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have five commissioners present.
Great. Welcome, everybody. We have a shortish agenda this morning. We'll get right into it. Do any commissioners have comments for ourselves and our participants? All right. Commissioner Ackerman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a couple of comments. I wanted to share a little bit with the Commission some efforts that are ongoing with geothermal. As you know, we've certainly worked on geothermal regulations in the past, and we are, even though it's not at the forefront of our Commission meetings, working feverishly on geothermal behind the scenes, both our agency and interacting with many others in the state and across the nation. We have several efforts that are ongoing, and I just wanted to plan on updating the commission on a periodic basis throughout this year on some of the highlights of our geothermal work. And when Kristen Kemp was talking about this, she said you could say hot topics, but that might seem like too easy of a pun. So we'll just stick with geothermal highlights. Um, these certainly are supplemental to the work happening in our regulatory space under the CIET team. And recently, John Morgan, our geothermal lead scientist, as you saw, offered us a presentation about geothermal permitting. You're also familiar that ECMC Director Murphy and Senior Scientist for Energy Transition Mike Rigby and myself are all representing ECMC on the Colorado Geothermal Council. And the Colorado Geothermal Council is an informal group initially initiated by the National Laboratory of the Rockies, which most of us know for years as NREL. And it's got 50 members or so. It's a mix of folks that are state and local and federal regulatory folks, industry people, scientists, and also academics. And we're at the point now where the CGC has subdivided itself into 8 working groups with a total of more than 100 people involved. So I just wanted to kind of let you know what we're breaking out into and further discussion in the state right now in those 8 groups. So bear with me while I read the list to you. The first group is utilities, and it's chaired by an industry group, CLEAR, and the Colorado Energy Office. And then thermal energy networks, chaired by industry group CLEAR and the Energy Office, Deep Geothermal, which I will likely co-chair. Workforce development, chaired by the Energy Office. Engagement and communications, which is chaired by Kristen Kemp. Financing and investment, chaired by the Energy Office as well. And then international engagement, chaired by some folks at the Office of Economic and International Development. And so, as those names suggest, each of those groups are focused on critical components of the emerging energy sector of geothermal and how we help this become more than just a nascent industry in Colorado. The 8th group is the Geothermal Summit Planning Committee. So, one of the main reasons I'm updating you early in the year so you can mark your calendars now, the first week of December, beginning Tuesday, December 1st, ECMC is going to co-host with Mines a large-scale international geothermal summit. The summit will occur at the School of Mines, and big thanks in advance to Mike Rigby and Kristen Kemp, who have done an amazing amount of work so far, but still have a lot in front of them in partnership with the co-hosts. The conference is going to be unlike other existing geothermal conferences that to date tend to be more technical in nature and will focus more on policy and collaboration and community engagement. And so my next update to you, I'm told that I'll have a website that's devoted entirely to the summit to share with you. So as we prep for that conference, there's lots of engagement opportunities also happening. Mike Rigby toured Southern Colorado last week and spoke at 2 community engagement events. CEO just published a workforce development survey that ECMC helped share. And it's really important to collect that data. So we certainly are encouraging all geothermal contacts to respond to that survey. That's kind of the long and short of what's going on right now. Again, just wanted to talk about how our staff is continuing to move this industry forward. So thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thanks for the update, Commissioner Ackerman. Helpful for all of us to understand. Appreciate all the behind-the-scenes efforts that are going on. Other commissioners with comments? Commissioner Cross?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will just provide a brief update that the West Slope Task Force did meet again yesterday in Edwards, Colorado. It was again a very fruitful conversation. I think we're seeing more and more of the things that are going well in the ongoing communications between ECMC staff and West Slope operators. And those kind of new issues that do arise, I think we're getting good conversations on. And so just wanted to let everybody know that we do continue to meet with that as requested by the commission previously, and it is going well.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Cross. All right, seeing no other commissioner comments, I'm going to rearrange the schedule just a little bit, and let's go to public comment for a non-agenda item received via email titled ECMC Stop Approving Fracking Wells in Our Schools and Poisoning Kids! Exclamation point. To brief us on this is Stephen Araza.
Thank you, Chair Robbins. Good morning, commissioners, director, ECMC staff, and to everyone else who's joined us for today's hearing. My name is Stephen Arauza. I am the ECMC's Environmental Justice Community Liaison for the West Slope, and I'm here today to recite into the record a message that was submitted by 94 members of the public over the past few months. This message was received by several members on staff at ECMC, and while it was not received through established channels, I believe that it falls within my role as a community liaison to elevate the concerns expressed to the agency pursuant to Rules 224C1 and 224D. On behalf of the ECMC, Community Relations Unit Manager Kristen Kemp has sent an official response to each of the 94 individuals who have sent this message to our agency. Ms. Kemp's response includes an acknowledgement that their concerns were received, information regarding the inability of the ECMC to unilaterally update our rules in response to their message, a link to information regarding our official rulemaking processes, and a commitment from the Community Relations Unit, or CRU, to include their concerns as a public comment on relevant OGDP applications for the remainder of the calendar year. One goal of the Community Relations Unit is to foster informed public participation in ECMC decision-making processes. The CRU recognizes that email writing campaigns like this one represent similar attempts to engage members of the public in the work we do as an agency. For this reason, while the CRU does not intend to encourage future campaigns like this one, we are working on an official standard operating procedure, or SOP, to outline a process for ECMC staff to recognize these campaigns if they occur again in the future, and to issue an official response when such a response is deemed appropriate by leadership. If anything, the SOP will help to streamline communication, since often several of us, including the 5 of you, receive the same message as a result of these campaigns. So now, I will recite the message as it was received from 94 members of the community, beginning in November of 2025. It reads, Dear Environmental Justice Community Liaison Stephen Arauza, children at Colorado schools are exposed to increased health risks in areas where oil and gas operations encroach on schools and playgrounds. Children's developing bodies are more vulnerable to air pollution, toxic spills, and water contamination caused by fracking wells. I implore you to impose safer setback rules and stronger protections to keep these dangerous industrial processes away from our schools and better safeguard children's health. Disturbing facts about Weld County in Colorado's top impacted school district. 90% of Weld County schools have one or more oil or gas wells within a mile. The average Weld County school has seen 4 oil spills within 1 mile in the last 10 years. Half of Weld County schools have 37 or more oil and gas wells within 1 mile, and Weld County schools are 23 times more likely than other Colorado schools to have an oil spill within a mile. The email then lists another list described as more disturbing facts about Colorado's other impacted school districts. It lists that 500 non-Weld County schools have one or more oil or gas wells within a mile. 74 non-Weld County schools have seen spills within 1 mile in the last 10 years. 4 schools in Parachute, Colorado, and Garfield County have between 94 and 189 active schools within a mile, and 4 schools in Parachute have seen 1 to 4 spills within 1 mile in the last 10 years. The email continues. Think your school's area is safe because it's not in Weld or Garfield County? Think again. Air pollution does not stay put, and groundwater contamination spreads widely to water sources for drinking, agriculture, and recreation. Current regulations are not adequate. Meanwhile, hundreds of more fracking permits are granted each year. Children's physiology and developing bodies make them especially sensitive to the increased health problems caused by proximity to oil and gas operations. The health impacts are well known: elevated cancer risks, unsafe levels of chemicals that cause or harm breathing, damage immune system, and impede brain function. Do not let corporate polluters continue to endanger the future generations of our children. The letter then includes a list of what are described as demands for the ECMC. So it continues: I demand that ECMC stop permitting new oil and gas wells that are closer than 2 miles from existing schools. Stop permitting new oil and gas wells that are closer than 5 miles to proposed future school sites. Require operators to plug and abandon all existing wells within 2 miles of any school. Require companies to restrict the most polluting phases of fracking operations to when school is not in session. For schools within 10 miles of an existing or new well, require operators to pay for continuous air quality and sound monitoring equipment at several locations and distances from the school with a halt work provision and increased fines if dangerous conditions are detected. Note, in some counties, this would require the installation of monitors for nearly every school. We believe that all children deserve a safe learning environment. Require the operator to pay for continuous infrared leak detection cameras and real-time pressure and temperature sensors at well pads that are within a 10-mile radius of schools, with a work halt provision and increased fines if dangerous conditions are detected. Require the use of only bio-based and non-toxic additives and no PFAS in frac fluid, with no exceptions to the existing chemical disclosure laws for trade secrets. Require operators to use reduced emissions, solar or electric noise or low noise extraction equipment on sites within 10 miles of a school, and increase the frequency of required inspections to twice per year for all new and existing wells within 10 miles of school. The email is then signed sincerely, and again, it was received from 94 individuals across the state. Thank you.
All right, thank you for alerting us to the emails that we have received. That is now in our record. Does anyone have a question of Mr. Araza? All right, thank you very much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all.
All right.
Take care.
We now move to general public comment. I had two folks sign up, Leslie Robinson and Kate Mave. Mr. Thomas, are either of those folks available?
Mr. Chair, we see both of them in the audience and are attempting to elevate them now. Kate Mave has been elevated, and we're still working on Leslie Robinson.
All right, Ms. Mave, if you want to unmute, we will hear you for 3 minutes on whatever topic you desire.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner. So good morning. My name is Kate Mave, and I'm the Executive Director of Colorado Rising for Communities. We're a grassroots organization working to protect our quality of life, health, and safety from oil and gas operations. And I'm here to provide more context for the call to action letter titled Stop Approving Fracking Wells Near Schools that was just presented. As of this past Sunday, this letter has received nearly 100 signatures from concerned community members. And the data we're collecting is alarming. In Weld County alone, 90% of schools are within 1 mile of one or more oil and gas wells. The average Weld County school has experienced 4 oil spills within 1 mile of its campus over the past decade, and half of Weld County schools have 37 or more wells within a mile. These schools are 23 more times likely than the other Colorado schools to experience a spill nearby. And children are especially vulnerable to the health impacts of oil and gas operations. Their developing bodies, faster breathing rates, and time spent outdoors increase their vulnerability to air pollution and toxic exposures. A growing body of peer-reviewed research links proximity to school oil and gas operations with elevated cancer risks, respiratory problems, impaired immune function, and neurologic impacts, all particularly concerning for developing children. And let me give you one concrete example. So the Carbon Valley Academy in Frederick ranks first on our list of most impacted schools. 2/3 of the producing wells within 1 mile are classified as low producing, and they are prime candidates for plugging and abandonment. And while we've seen some progress, Kerr-McGee has recently plugged some wells near the schools, and we really need operators to finish the job. So that's the core issue here. Operators won't complete this work voluntarily because it doesn't serve their bottom line. And as a nonprofit and community of impacted residents, we're documenting these risks because the industry will not. And we can't do it alone. We need regulatory intervention. And our letter outlines specific actionable requests, expanded setbacks, plugging in low producing wells, school by schools, air quality monitoring at affected schools, operational restrictions during school hours, and increased inspection frequency. These aren't radical demands, they're evidence-based protections for our most vulnerable population. And all of our children deserve to feel safe, healthy, and pollution-free environments. It is our collective responsibility and yours as regulators to prioritize their well-being over industry profits. We're asking you for your help to make that happen. And thank you for the time to speak today.
All right. Thank you very much for being with us this morning and providing that context for the letters that we received. All right. We now have Ms. Robinson.
Good morning. I'm Leslie Robinson, Chair of the Grand Valley Citizens Alliance. We're part of the Western Colorado Alliance family in Western Garfield County. I support the comments by Kate at Colorado Rising, presented by Steve as well. And I was made aware of the spill data around the schools on the Western Slope in Rangeley and in Parachute in particular. And I'm surprised some of these aging wells are not on the P&A list. I would like to offer help with Colorado Rising, ECMC, possibly along with the EJ group, and other state agencies to address these health hazards around school systems, especially here on the Western Slope. Garfield County just stopped their air testing program in Battlement Mesa, and so I'm particularly interested in pursuing the idea of allowing air testing facilities for schools. Thank you very much for listening to me this morning.
Thank you for making part of your day to be with us and provide those comments. Good seeing you again. You've been with us for quite a while. All right, that concludes public comment. We move to consent. Does anyone have questions on the consent agenda? Do we have a motion to approve consent?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, next up, we have the ECMC Annual Enforcement Report. Good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Annie and I are going to work on this together. So, Annie, if you wouldn't mind putting up our slideshow. All right. Good morning again, Commissioners. Jeremy Fair, Enforcement Manager here at ECMC. I'm joined by Annie Shaver, who's one of our newer enforcement advisors. This will be her first time presenting to the Commission. So as you've seen some other units come before you, we don't have a specific process to walk through or anything to sort of update you on specifically. So this will just kind of be an annual update really related to what's happened since I met with you last, I think about a year ago. And so the first portion, I was asked to sort of, and Annie, you can advance, there we go. I was asked to sort of zoom out and say, what is it that enforcement does? Probably less so for the Commission's benefit and more so for the audience. And kind of helpfully, we've written it down in a couple of places. And so you'll see there a section of the Act that says enforcement and in fact penalties are meant to deter noncompliance and encourage any out of compliance energy and carbon management operators to come into compliance as soon as possible. We also sort of expanded on that concept in the enforcement policy, and there we state that staff, together with operators, working to ensure they're complying with the statute and rules through outreach, corrective actions, warning letters, and ultimately NOAVs if that becomes necessary. And again, the Commission's Enforcement and Penalty Program is designed to deter violations and encourage compliance. So that's the sort of overarching goal of the enforcement group. Annie, next slide. The way that shakes out sort of day to day is quite a lot of intra-agency coordination. So coordinating with the other units, primarily those with operational responsibilities, those dealing sort of directly with operators. And so they will bring a compliance issue to our attention. We will work with them to get an operator back into compliance if it's necessary to issue an NOAV, and then go through the process of imposing a penalty if that's necessary. The most common units we work with, financial assurance, right? Do you have a Form 3 in? Are you complying with that plan? Are you paying regularly with the Form 3A? Production and levy, right? Are you filing monthly operations reports? Are you paying the levy? Engineering focuses primarily on integrity issues. Are you doing the right testing on a regular cadence? And if you identify an integrity issue, are you responding to it appropriately? Environmental, right? Spills and releases, are you handling EMP waste properly? Compliance, those are our field folks identifying violations, standing on the surface of a location and looking around and seeing identified violations. And then planning and permitting, are you complying with your permits? Are you complying with spacing, pooling orders, those sorts of things. So that's the intra-agency coordination. Annie, next slide, please. We also coordinate with sister agencies. A lot of state and federal agencies have concurrent jurisdiction over some of the same subject matters that we exercise jurisdiction over. And so for the state of Colorado, CDPHE, right, their air quality, water quality folks, coordinating with them. Parks and Wildlife, if we have a wildlife issue, State Land Board, if we're identifying an issue on state land board land, we're going to coordinate with them. Similarly, the federal government, Forest Service is pretty rare, but BLM, where you have federal minerals or federally BLM managed surface, will be coordinating with those folks. And so each of these agencies has their own regulations and their own enforcement system. And a lot of our work, when we have sort of an overlap, is coordinating with them to make sure we're all sort of driving towards the same goal. Some of their processes are different than ours. Some are more complicated. Some are more efficient. And so, like I said, a lot of our time is spent sort of coordinating with them to get to the same resolution. Next slide, please. And sort of on that concept of concurrent jurisdiction, the court in the Renegade Judicial Appeal matter recently addressed this issue. And so I won't read the whole paragraph, but one of Renegade's arguments was that ECMC did not have authority to regulate flaring because AQCC also has regulation over that concept. And so, again, I won't read the whole paragraph, but that last sentence is pretty clear from the court saying, rather, the statute, AQCC statute, operates to permit rather than mandate AQCC regulation, in spite of the grant of similar authority to ECMC to regulate the same concept. So sort of a recent reaffirmation of the idea of concurrent jurisdiction where AQCC and ECMC can regulate the same sort of subject matter. So next slide, please. So the reason why we are here at this time of year is because we publish our annual report posted on the website, usually in January, summarizing the enforcement actions taken over the preceding year. So this is the couple summary tables from that report that's posted on the website, specifically identifying the number of orders and then also summarizing penalties. I will say this quantifies some of the work, but not all of the work of the enforcement team. There's quite a lot that goes on behind the scenes that you really can't count. Working with staff to get an operator into compliance that does not result in an order and doesn't result in an NOAV. So that this table shows some of the work, but definitely not all of it. So last year, 54 orders, 87 NOAVs were resolved. 54 is a little increase, a slight increase from last year. I expect that to stay the same or sort of improve a little as some of our newer folks get up to speed and have greater ability to move orders through more efficiently. I will say we're also kind of running into some headwinds in some of our cases where, opposing counsel thinks we're in district court and really kind of bogs it down with process instead of proceeding towards a more efficient administrative process. So that's the order summary. The penalty summary identifies some of our all of our penalties, and how some of those were divided out between suspensions, those imposed against defunct operators, what have you. So this is the sort of snapshot version with some little tables, but if anyone's interested, it's on our website and you can review it and get some additional information. So with that, I will hand it over to Annie Shaver.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm going to start off by giving some updates on staffing. I started at ECMC last January of 2025, and since January, our enforcement unit hired one is new-ish enforcement advisors. Last August of 2025, we hired Autumn Treesh, who is a new enforcement advisor, and she's been a great addition to our unit. And Casey Wolverton returned to our office, which we are all very excited about. And next week, Brandon Fletcher will be starting. He has an enforcement background at CDPHE, so we know he'll be a great benefit in addition to our team as well. The recent rulemaking was for statutory alignment, and it amended a couple of specific rules related to enforcement. These rules were specifically related to incorporating continuing violations, along with mandatory OFV hearings, license revocation, and some others. We found the rulemaking has not had a significant impact on our daily work because of the rarity of these remedies. And additionally, the enforcement guidance and penalty policy was updated last January, and the main updates were to incorporate classifications related to geothermal energy. And there will be an additional update to the guidance policy soon with the legislative audit and statutory alignment rulemaking, so that should be coming out in the near future. In January of 2025, Jeremy Farron presented at the annual update where he explained the waves and batches, kind of the idea and concept and how enforcement process wasn't changing, but you as the commissioners may see kind of waves of enforcement for a specific violation. An example or kind of demonstration of these batches was the enforcement of braided head testing. As a result of the braided head testing waves, there were a total of 29 orders issued, but more importantly, on the ground, the engineering unit has seen 12,372 braided head tests being submitted via bulk upload. And there has been an improvement in submission numbers over the last couple of years. The initial report for 2025 showed that there were 489 missing tests, while in 2023 there were 616 missing tests. So this means and demonstrates that operators are incorporating this rule into their procedures and annual audits, and so there should be less enforcement related to these missed braided head tests. Also related to the braided head testing, Steve Kirshner and I presented at the operator meeting in December of 2025, where we let operators know that the braided head suspension kind of penalty deal that we've been offering will not be effective as of the 2025 operating year. So we reminded operators to get any and all remaining braided head tests completed by the end of the operating year. And then on the horizon, there will be an upcoming wave related to Form 1B annual registration and associated fees and insurance. These will be annual batches, and so that's going to be something that you can look forward to seeing from us. We also kind of want to take this opportunity to highlight that when we get to final AOCs and collecting penalties pursuant to Rule 523F, the Commission may consider a public project in lieu of or impartial satisfaction of a penalty. Public projects must benefit public health, safety, and welfare, including the environment and wildlife resources, and there is a preference that the project will have a geographic nexus to the communities or the area affected by the violation. Two projects in 2025 we want to highlight are operators Evergreen Natural Resources and Noble Energy. Evergreen Natural Resources assessed penalty in Order 1B995 went to assist the City of Trinidad's reservoir expansion and maintenance of the reservoir of Monument Lake, which is a high-altitude public lake the community uses for recreation. The maintenance work on the reservoir went to protect the drinking water for 85% of the residents of the City of Trinidad as well. And secondly, we secured an agreement with Noble Energy where they agreed to donate $95,000 of their penalty to the Rocky Mountain Raptor Project. The Rocky Mountain Raptor Project is a nonprofit organization that rescues and rehabilitates raptors in northern Colorado to conduct much needed repairs to their facilities, provide veterinarian care, and build an enclosure for the raptors. These public projects kind of highlight how, in lieu of maybe a standard penalty ECMC collects, that monetary amount with these public projects can also benefit the public health, safety, and welfare, including the environment and wildlife resources, in maybe another manner or avenue that fulfills our mission statement while potentially directly affecting the local community as well. And as a final note, the enforcement unit took the opportunity last spring to use our volunteer hours the Department of Natural Resources gives their employees to have a team building day. Well, the commission will know this, the operators and public may not know, but the Department of Natural Resources gives all their employees 18 volunteer hours a year. So the enforcement unit decided to use some of those volunteer hours to give back to the community while also having a team building day. And we worked with Boulder County Parks and Open Space for their 50th anniversary, where we helped build prairie dog fences and were able to get out of the office and away from our desks for a day. And so with that, Jeremy Farron and I are open to any questions you may have for the enforcement unit.
Thank you very much for the update. Very informative. Commissioners, the panel is open for questions if we have any.
Jerry Robbins, no question, but I do want to just thank Jeremy and Annie for being here and giving us an update. I think these updates are really helpful. I think they provide perspective on the work that's going on behind the scenes, and appreciate the work that they did to develop the presentation and give us an update. So thank you.
Commissioner, thanks, Commissioner Messner. Commissioner Ackerman?
Yeah, I would just second that, and I wanted to thank them for the efficient and productive work that they do on the enforcement side. When we receive the documentation for enforcement actions that are taking place, it's always thorough. It's always explicit as to what the issues are and how they're resolved, and appreciate the thoroughness with which they provide documentation to us as well.
Ditto, agreed. Others? All right, well, we will let you get back to your regular daily work, and thanks again for presenting today.
Thanks, you all.
Okay, commissioners, that covers our agenda. Said it was going to be short, and indeed it was, but it was powerful. Appreciate all the perspective brought to us today. With that, I would move to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.